This is one of the Shopify stores we are currently helping to scale with native ads. This is, as you can see, yesterday, total sales more than 63,000 US dollars. And in this video, I will show you exactly how you can scale your dropshipping store so hard that your accountant calls you to ask what the hell happened in Q3. We do this with native ads, and this video here will show you exactly what's necessary and how you can also run native ads for a dropshipping store. Here are a few results from the past 18 months from a few stores I helped. To be honest, these screenshots are sometimes a bit older because nowadays we have like very strong NDAs with our clients. But here you can see from 2,500 per day to 8K per day in just 60 days with native ads. So here from 970K per month with 11% of profit to almost 1.6 million with 22% of profit. You can see here different categories, different categories of products like beauty, fashion, shapewear, health-related products, and many, many more. So here another example from 2.38 to 2.6 million, or here from 60K to 100K per day in just 90 days. And let me explain you a bit more. I've worked in the past years with more than 100 dropshipping stores and scaled them profitably through native ads. These are ads from or with Taboola and Outbrain. The majority of the dropshippers were under the radar dropshippers, but I've also worked with big brands. You might know them like Kylie Cosmetics, Oura Ring, or Revolve. And yeah, this is my agenda for this video. First of all, we'll compare meta ads with native ads because the majority of you guys run meta ads. Afterwards, we are going to take into realistic results. I will show you a few case studies, the timeline, and how you can start. So that's my agenda for this video. And yeah, let's jump into it. First, a few words about me. My name is Marcel. I run this beautiful YouTube channel here, which is, by the way, the largest YouTube channel about just native ads here on YouTube. I'm also AdWorld and Affiliate World speaker. And yeah, this is basically what I'm doing. I'm used to run one of the largest native advertising agencies out there. So I'm a native guy since more than 13 years. And native ads, and this is very important to understand, doesn't matter which platform is it, if it's Taboola, Outbrain, MJD, Newsbreak, whatever, native ads is a scaling platform. This is the most important thing to understand. So native ads, and that's the beauty of native, you can scale native ads from 5K per day to 50K per day within a couple of months, and this is profitable ad spend. And that's the beauty of native. And why it works like this, it's a very simple explanation. I don't like to speak about complicated things or like a black box, like the meta algorithm or the Google algorithm is like a black box. No one knows what's really going on in the background. Native, on the counter side, in comparison to that, is very easy to understand. And that's the beauty of native. So this concept, up to like 50K per day ad spend, profitable ad spend, works because native ads are top of the funnel. It's very simple. So when you can sell your product to anyone out there, then native ads is your channel to go. In comparison to that, we have middle of the funnel with meta, like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads, whatever. This is middle of the funnel. So the algorithm just shows people who might be interested in your products to the audience. But native, again, is very top of the funnel. And if you do native correctly, you can print money with conversions. And don't get me wrong, I don't say that Facebook or Meta also is bad, not at all. But I think we all know the advantages, but also the disadvantages of Meta. And yes, unfortunately, there are plenty of disadvantages. And usually on native ads, you have a lot more advantages. And I want to discuss them here in this video with you. But important to understand it, it's a different funnel. So you're unable to use the same funnel for Taboola ads or for Outbrain ads you're now using, for example, for meta ads. Because usually now with Facebook ads, you have the ad, which is maybe a static ad, like an image ad or a video, like a UGC video, whatever. You have the PDP, and afterwards you're going to make the sale. And with native, it works a bit differently. So you have the ad, you have the editorial, PDP, and then the sale. And I know a few of you guys, especially the dropshippers here on the scale, they're already using editorials when it comes to meta ads too. And that's awesome. But the editorials from meta are usually different than those editorials from native. And the reason here is very simple again, which brings me back here, because native is top of the funnel, so you have a different audience here. You need to start way earlier from the customer journey than with a middle of the funnel Facebook audience, for example. So also with native, you can be way more aggressive. You can have before and after images. You can advertise way more aggressively to convince the audience. And your editorial basically is, in an ideal case, built on core marketing and psychology principles. So again, if you're able and if you have winning editorials, you can sell your product basically to everyone out there. And that makes native ads dangerously scalable. That's the beauty, because it's very top of the funnel. Basically, if you can convince a very cold audience, a very cold person who is unaware of everything, and through your editorial, you can convince this person to purchase your product right now, then you can basically print money in Q3 or in Q4 already. And by the way, right now in summer 2026 is the best time to start with native. Why? Because native takes a bit of time until you see results. So native is not a platform you can start today and you're going to have results tomorrow. That's not the case. Native takes a while until you can really see results and profits. It's very important to understand. And therefore, you need to start now in summer with native ads if you want really to print money in this Q4 2026. Yeah, I mentioned already in the beginning, native is a scaling platform, and scaling is way cheaper. Here are a few example CPCs. For example, here it's from a dropshipping jewelry brand. On Meta it was like 38 cents, and on native we had like 14 cents, which is a 63% cheaper CPC. However, I'm well aware that the CPC tells you nothing, because you can have a cheap CPC but no conversion. At the end, it's everything about conversion, and I will come to that in a second. But let me first go a bit through the Facebook ads dilemma. And the main issue is, as long as you have like low ad spend, you have good results, and then when you raise the ad spend, you have bad results. And basically with native, you have it vice versa. So low ad spend, lower return on ad spend, and high ad spend, higher ROAS. And the reason here is very simple, because the more ad spend you have, the more auctions you win. It's, again, a very simple system. It's no crazy algorithms on the background. Very simple system. So therefore, if you have like less than 200 or in the USA, $300 per day daily budget, native is not your platform. If you're a dropshipper and you do serious business and you're able to spend like $300 plus per day on the native advertising platform like Outbrain and Taboola, then you're more than welcome to try native ads today. So now you might ask yourself, is everything better with native ads? And the clear answer here is no. Again, I didn't cover now in this video all the negative parts of Meta, and I don't want to cover all the beautiful parts of native. I want to make it like a bit even. And yeah, no, not everything is better with native. That's very important to understand. So not every brand is a good fit for native ads. That's the first thing. And the second take here we can take away is it takes time before you see results. So let me explain the first part here. Not every brand is a good fit for native. If you have Meta and if you have native here, or I love to compare native with TikTok, because these audiences are very different. On TikTok, you have a very young audience, high ad fatigue, high ad burn, a lot of motion, graphics, like everything is video there. On native, you have a very slow platform, older audience. People on native are like 35 plus. The audience, like the target audience on native, is like 35 until 65 years. So these people are older. That means they have more money, stable jobs, usually family, house, apartment, whatever. These are like more mature people. That's the first thing. So if you have a product which is for a very young audience, native is not your right channel. Native is the wrong channel for you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is it must be a product with a very broad market fit. And why that? Because as mentioned previously, native ads is very top of the funnel. That's one thing. And there is no algorithm. It's very broad. So you need to have a very broad product approach too, to make sales. So your product must be relevant for a lot of people out there. If you have a very specific product, then native is again the wrong channel. And second take here, it takes time before you see results. So again, native works exactly vice versa as Facebook. So you start today with native, and you need to be aware that the first 2 to 4 weeks might be, in the best case scenario, break even. In the majority of cases, the first 2 weeks, they're unprofitable. And this is because you start broad and you narrow down the funnel. So you narrow down the funnel, you narrow down the approaches, the angles, you narrow down the publishers, you narrow down which editorials are working, you narrow down everything. So usually what's done by a smart algorithm in the background from Meta or Taboola or Google in this case, is in this case your manual work. So you need to log into the Taboola Ads Manager, Outbrain Ads Manager, and cut off what's not working. And this process takes time. So don't start native today and imagine you can buy a Lambo tomorrow. It's not going to work. So native takes a bit of time until you have traction. Usually it takes like 2 to max 4 weeks if you do everything correctly, but it's important to understand that you not be profitable in the very first days in the majority of cases. So that's one thing. But the good news here is, as soon as you have the momentum, as soon as you are profitable, it's like a big container vessel, it's like almost impossible to stop it. So as soon as you have momentum, you're behind the mountain, everything is fine, basically. And if you do it correctly, you can scale, and sky's the limit. So who should consider now native ads seriously? If you spend already at least like 2 to 3K per day on Meta or Google, native ads is your platform. Of course, you can start earlier, but this is my recommendation. I run native ads, and again, I'm used to run one of the largest native ads agencies out there. This is the sweet spot. If you spend like more than 2 to 3K per day, for example, on Meta, then you can 1, afford native, 2, you have all the knowledge that your offer works, that everything else, your processes are working, and 3, you're ready to scale. So if you spend less than that, you still have cheaper potential on Meta, because again, native is an expensive channel to start with. It's not the cheapest channel to start with. As soon as you get traction, it changes, but it takes again 2 to 4 weeks until you're in the profitable area. And yeah, you need also products with a very broad appeal, and your product must fit for all the audience, like 35 until 65. And of course, you need the want to scale, because native ads is a scaling channel. And this is here the proof why native ads is a scaling channel. So you can see here from client, like from 2.5K to 8K per day ad spend with native ads is of course always profitable ad spend here. So it doesn't matter if it's beauty, fashion, shapewear, or whatever. There are like plenty of products which are a great fit for native. Some of them are a bit more seasonal. Some of them are evergreen, like creams or weight loss. But yeah, you can see here, these are real results. These are Shopify screenshots. Again, I'm unable here to share all the details like the product and so obviously transparently, but these are real examples. Or here another store, like this is euros now, from 2.38 millions per month to 2.62 millions per month in just 30 days. This is now, of course, revenue, not profit, this is revenue. Or here from 60K per day to 100K per day in just 90 days. And these are just a few screenshots. A few of them are already a bit older, but this is something I've seen in the last years over and over again, almost on a monthly or like a couple of days per month or a couple of times per month. And this is a typical timeline. So if you start already, or if you have already like 2K per day ad spend on Meta, then you can have on top of that like 6K per day profitable ad spend with native in roughly 60 days. So roughly around 2 months. And that means then you have like 8K profitable ad spend. And usually the native ad spend is more profitable because you have a higher AOV. As mentioned before, the Meta or the audience on native is slightly older. So that means these people are also able to spend more money. So you can sell them higher packages, bigger packages. They're open for cross-sells, upsells, whatever. So that's the typical timeline of a successful dropshipping store. But you might wonder now, why do so few dropshippers use native ads like Taboola or Outbrain? And the answer is simple and complex at the same time. Because native is like this picture you see here on my screen now. It's like not one thing you need to manage. Native ads is unfortunately like Lego briquettes, you know? You have plenty of briquettes, but no manual. And this is the hard thing. You need to connect all these dots in the correct order together so it makes sense. And it's like a phone number. If my phone number has 10 digits and you're trying to reach me and you do 9 out of 10, you type into your phone 9 out of 10 numbers correctly, just one mistake, the result is you're not going to reach me. And with native, it's the same. You can do 98% correctly, but if you miss 2% or if you do 2% wrong, the result is native ads will fail for you and you will lose a lot of money. Because again, there is no smart pixel tracking tool which can connect, for example, your Shopify store with Taboola or Outbrain. There is nothing which works out there. Or the other thing is, if you start with the wrong account setup on Taboola, for example, with a self-service account, you just get cheap push traffic. This traffic is garbage. You're unable to convert this traffic. And you might wonder then afterwards, why do you have so many people on my store, but no conversions? And again, 98% might be correct, but 2% are wrong. And these are the dangerous 2% which can cost you a lot of money. And you can see here how it's structured. Again, no rocket science. I'm very happy here to share my channel, everything transparently. Usually for one product, I recommend always to have 3 different marketing angles, 3 different pain points, 3 different audiences, up to you, but 3 different angles you start with. And this is the approach I told you earlier. So you start broad and then you narrow down. After a couple of days, you see which angle is the low-hanging fruit and you turn off the higher hanging fruits basically. So if you see angle 1 is the low hanging fruits, you get conversions, you get good KPIs there, you turn off angle 2 and angle 3 after a couple of days and just focus to make angle 1 profitable. The same you do with the headlines, for example, and with the images. So an ad on a native advertising platform is always the combination between a headline and an image. That's an ad basically. And if you have like 3 headlines, 3 images, if you multiply them, you have 9 ads. That's the recommendation. You have, in ideal case, 3 editorials per angle. And I recommend you to have editorial 1 like an editorial, which looks like a newspaper article. Editorial 2 should be something like a blog article from the POV perspective of a person. And editorial 3 should be like a listicle, like the 7 things your doctor will never tell you. And in ideal case, and if you're on a bigger scale, you're also able to test your PDPs, which is here called the offer page. So that's the magic approach here in the background. And then it's manual work to narrow down your funnel and make it profitable. And copywriting is a very huge part of it, to be honest, because again, a lot of money is in your editorials. So if you do the editorial copywriting correctly, you can make a lot of money. If you use a random guy from Fiverr who is just writing editorials for Meta, it's not going to work. If you use just AI, it's not going to work. So you need to know exactly what to do now in 2026 to write or to hit here one winning editorial after each other, because this will ensure that you will make a lot of money, and it will also ensure that you avoid to lose money and to avoid to just buy traffic without any results. And this depends a bit. I cannot really explain you now everything in this video. It will be a bit too long. But if you're interested in how to start, then it's very simple. I have a process here in the background, which you can access, don't worry about that. And this is also why multi-billion-dollar brands worked already with me, as well as, like as mentioned before, under the radar dropshippers, which are extremely rich. And the reason here is I have an extensive database in the background and 13 years of insights. And if you want to start now with native, I'm not going to tell you anything right now, don't worry. But if you want to start now with native and check out what's the right approach, I've built something which you can just access with your phone or if your computer, doesn't matter. Just scan the QR code now, and there's a little quiz. It will take you around 2 minutes to fill out this quiz, and then you can see what's the best step now to start with native ads. And this will also ensure that you avoid losing money with native ads and that you hit like 10 out of 10 things correctly, so you are able to scale your dropshipping store with native ads profitably. Scan the QR code now. It will just take you 2 minutes and you will see exactly what you can do to start with native ads today.